Thank you very much, Shay. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Turin special event for the Pokemon trading card game. My name's Ross Gilbert. I've had to say goodbye to Shay, which is a little bit sad, but I get to say hello to Alex. How's it going, Alex?
Hello, Ross. Yeah, absolutely great day so far. We've had 3 fantastic rounds in our day 2 so far. 3 winners, no ties on stream as of yet, but we've got another fantastic game to bring live for you guys today as well. We've got an Italian showdown.
I like this. Anytime we can get a high-level match with 2 Italians, when we're in Italy doing a tournament, I am all in. We've got Fabio Battistella and Andrea Stanieri. And of course, Fabio is a player we've seen before because Fabio went and won Lille Regional Championships. I'm delighted to say I was on the casting team for that one. I casted Fabio winning that event and then got to hand him a trophy, which was lovely. Now we're back. And Fabio's had a very good season, trying to take down another one.
Yeah, as we both see now, both players set up for game 1. That Rapid Strike Urshifu will be looking to try and take down Fabio's side of the board, who has started the Drapion V, and Andrea is going first. Andrea also a player who's had a couple of day 2s in recent times as well, making day 2 in Regionals Warsaw, as well as the special event Milan last season, right at the end here, as he kicks things off with that Battle VIP pass.
Yeah, I love that Battle VIP pass. Goes against any 2 basic Pokemon you like. We've got that lovely alternate art Rapid Strike Urshifu in the active there. And then we're going to be getting any 2 Pokemon. And this is a weird kind of deck list. It's not one we see very much anymore. It's that Inteleon Urshifu. It is worth noting that there's a 2-2 Inteleon line and there's 1-1 actually in the prizes, but we have just gone straight for the Remoraid and the Inteleon.
Yeah, getting that engine set up as soon as possible with that Octillery and is it Rapid Strike Search?
Yeah, that's the
where it
one.
allows him to grab any sort of Rapid Strike card from the deck and just tutor it out of the deck so that he can start building those combos. Is that a 3rd Battle VIP pass that just hit a bit?
Oh my goodness, that is. And I need to correct myself. I thought it was a 2-2 line. I've had another look. It's actually a 3-3 line. There's some different artworks in play. So the 1-1 priced is not such a big deal. And then Radiant Alakazam. That is not a card we see too often, Alex.
No, not at all. Painful Spoons with the ability. Once during turn, you may move up to 2 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of their Pokemon, utilizing that combo to try and use Medicham V with that Yoga Loop attack.
Yeah, and of course we've all got that Inteleon that can drop damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon. Yoga Loop drops 2 damage counters, but if you take a KO, you get an extra turn. So being able to muck around with dropping damage counters with Inteleon VMAX, moving them with Alakazam, and then getting the KO with Yoga Loop, it's a weird, hard to pull off thing, but it's worth it when it works.
Yeah, 100%, as we do see it passed over to Fabio now. So he is playing Lost Box, his own variant of sort of the turbo build with the sort of big heavy attackers like Dragonite V, Raikou V, and also that Drapion, which isn't the ideal starter here because he is staring down at that fighting Pokemon in the active spot, I believe. Oh, is that? Yeah, just making sure. But the Battle VIP pass also comes down after a quick Hisuian Heavy Ball as well.
And it is actually worth noting, I've been having a quick gander there, Fabio's prized both his copies of Clara, and I've checked it definitely is a 2 of Clara. So there's going to be no Clara for a few turns for Fabio here. Bit of a later game card, should be all right. And it seems like we've gone straight for a Manaphy and a Greninja, because of course Rapid Strike Urshifu just loves hitting that bench.
Yeah, he will be looking to try and get those Comfeys down, because that is his engine, as he does see 1 in the first 5 of that Chorus's experiment as well. But, you know, he has to be careful because the reason why Rapid Strike Urshifu and Inteleon has been doing so well is because it sort of feasts on the Lost Box matchup.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lost Box is known for having lots of smalls, low HP Pokemon that are, you know, running around, single price deck, all those little tricks. But like we've said, between Yoga Loop, between dropping those damage counters with Inteleon, between hitting the bench with that Urshifu, you really can take a lot of those little Pokemon out very quickly. It's why Fabio went for that Manaphy so quickly.
And he does finally get one of those Comfeys down after using a concealed cards. Gets the water attachment to the Radiant Greninja as well. Not quite the explosive turn he might have wanted, as it looks like he's just passing over to Andrea. Yeah, I think they're just confirming. Ooh, just a quick double check exactly what's happening here. As we do double check the scenario. Does? Oh, of course. Drapion being able to attack because there are enough Rapid Strike Pokemon on Andrea's side of the board. Actually, unique attacker from that scenario.
It's not something you see very often. Drapion's got an ability. We all think about it attacking free into Mew, but it actually reduces its attack cost by 1 for each single strike, Rapid Strike, or Fusion Strike Pokemon. And if we look at Andrea's side of the board, there are 4 Fusion Strike, four Rapid Strike Pokemon on the board, which does mean Drapion V's Dynamic Tail does attack for free, which is honestly kind of amazing here.
Yeah, really cool way of sort of ramping up a lot of damage nice and early. Of course, with that Rapid Strike Urshifu now taking damage, and if it does ever evolve up to the VMAX, what Fabio does play in his list is the split of Sealstone. So he does play 1 Forest Sealstone, 1 Sky Sealstone, so could take massive KOs and massive amount of prizes. As we do see here now, Andrea just looking at what options after playing that Tower of
I think we just saw a pass there, Alex. I think he literally played Tower of Water and pass. This is really not good. Oh, we did also move out of the active to stop giving up prizes. But right now, it kind of looks like that Drapion is just going to be wreaking havoc on this Rapid Strike deck.
Yeah, we've kind of mentioned how a lot of Pokemon deal a lot of damage, and it's getting a lot of value out of it, isn't it? 190 damage from Dynamic Tail, despite having to also deal 60 to your own bench Pokemon. Just wanted to double check with Manaphy. Is it only your opponent's Pokemon that it stops? The actual.
Yes, Manaphy stops damage from your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. It does not stop damage from your own, which it would be so much better if it stopped them both. But no, it is 100% just your opponent's.
Just wanted to double check. Thank you for the clarity, Ross. But yeah, we have seen the damage counters move from the Alakazam getting some damage counter move shenanigans happening on Fabio's side of the board. But, you know, 2 turns, this Drapion could be dealing 380 damage in total and just kind of getting, like I said, a lot of value out against these VMAX Pokemon.
And that's the thing, like, you know, you look at your Rapid Strike Urshifu, free energy, discard them all, it does 120 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So that can KO the Drapion while doing 120 to the bench. But if you're getting this much value out of it, and you got the Manaphy down so the bench damage doesn't come down, you're not really worried. The worst case scenario is where Drapion gets KO'd by an Urshifu and you lose a bench prize as well, that horrible free prize term. Fabio's navigating this kind of beautifully, and once again, we see a lot of damage coming down from that Drapion there.
I don't think this is what he had anticipated when he put the Drapion V into the list. You know, they're typically to try and counter the Mew decks in force, but this is what happens with this Rapid Strike Inteleon VMAX and Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX deck. If it can't just get set up and get going, it looks like that's an early congestion.
Well, I was just about to say, Sableye's going to have an absolute field day in a minute, because one Sableye could have KO'd both the Urshifu and the Inteleon for 4 prizes and still had damage counters left to put elsewhere. And it turns out that Drapion, I'm just putting it out there, Alex, might not have been that bad a starter.
Not at all. It turns out to be a bit of an MVP in that scenario. So congratulations to Fabio for taking down game 1 of our round 13, as we have a quick look at his achievements once again, Ross.
Yeah, champion in Lille, top 128 at EUIC in London this year, top 64 in Warsaw. Just a fantastic, phenomenal player, and I was following along with his run at EUIC as well. A newer player, but one that is really starting to make their mark on the competitive landscape.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, Angela, no stranger to day 2s as well, having had, like I mentioned, the sort of day 2 opportunity at regionals in Warsaw this season, and also, you know, back home, another day 2 special event in Milan towards the end of last season, being able to take that top 32 spot. So having a good run of it in the Italian events. Yeah,
it turns out if Andrea's playing in an Italian event, you're going to be seeing a day 2 finish. So now it's going back into the game. And for Fabio here is an interesting question. Drapion, in theory, not great in this matchup because of the weakness, but if you can get 2 attacks off, that leaves Sableye for an easy 4 prizes. That kind of might be worth it.
Yeah, it's that mixture of either using Sableye to sort of clean up at some point in the game, or utilizing just a damaging Pokemon so that you can start maybe using something like the Sky Seal Stone to take a massive sort of 4-prize swing at some point. As we do see the fist bump from both players, and Andrea kicking things off once again with that Battle VIP pass in hand.
And once again, there's a 1-1 Inteleon line in the prizes for Andrea. Also the only Yoga Loop Megacham. That is something we need to watch as we go through the game. So Andrea here, we got the Battle VIP pass. Last time we saw him go straight for the Remoraid and the Inteleon. It looks like that's what we're eyeing up here, because we want the Octillery just drawing out those Rapid Strike cards once per turn, and Inteleon clearly dropping damage counters, decent attacker. That is going to potentially lead to multiple prizes in one turn, while you've got the ability dropping 2 damage counters on 2 Pokemon and an attack that for 2 energy or 1 Rapid Strike energy can start taking prizes. It's good in this matchup if you can get it going.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll just have a quick reminder of the Medicham V that has been prized as well. One of the reasons why this is such a combo-based deck with the Radiant Alakazam and the sort of damage counters being dropped from the double gunner. Medicham V's Yoga Loop for 2 colorless energy, or as you mentioned, that 1 Rapid Strike energy, allowing you to put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by this attack, take another turn.
Yeah, that's a little bit cheeky. We don't see many take another turn attacks. They do happen. Now, getting the energy on the Urshifu, absolutely huge. This means it is absolutely possible we could see a turn 2 G-Max Rapid Flow next turn. So I don't think Fabio can bench the Drapion here. I think it is now too much of a liability.
Yeah, as we do see the first flower selected immediately, just double checking that Radiant Greninja is key here, just so he can start burning and digging through the cards, because you don't want to keep putting down too many small HP Pokemon in fear of something like the Yoga Loop happening sort of at any turn. Of course, he doesn't know Medicham V is prized, and he's just kind of got to protect himself at all costs.
Yeah, you've got to be prepared for it. I imagine we're going to be seeing the Manaphy coming down pretty soon as well. That was absolutely crucial in game 1. And like I say, the energy on the Urshifu, that leaves a turn 2 G-Max Rapid Flow. You need the V-Max and a Rapid Strike energy, which can be grabbed off an Octillery. That's it. That's all you need to get that rolling next turn, plus, I suppose, a pivot. So this is going to be something Fabio is aware of. So what do? You know, do you try and go Drapion aggro knowing that that could backfire? Or do you try doing your thing and just building up to these big attackers using your Comfey?
He couldn't leave 2 Pokemon just on the board because of the fear of that
No Manaphy.
VMAX with the no Manaphy. Andrea is the one who started the Drapion this time, and is going to be using Professor's research to sort of draw 7 fresh new cards for this matchup, and look already in a commanding position compared to the previous game.
Yeah, we need a V-Max, an energy, or an Octillery. There is the Octillery. Does he have, and there's the Tower of Waters. Does he have the V-Max as well? Oh, he doesn't have the V-Max. So he can either search out the V-Max with Octillery, or he can search out the Rapid Strike energy. What he will be able to do is still Gale Thrust for 150 and get the KO on the Comfey.
Does have that Drapion in the active, which could cause a bit of an issue. I'm not too sure it's going to be too easy to get out of that active position right now with that unfortunate start. But yeah, ideally, Ross, you did mention, you know, being able to at least Gale Thrust would have been ideal just to take out that Comfey in the active spot.
And that Drapion is not a Rapid Strike Pokemon, and Tower of Waters only reduces the retreat cost of those Rapid Strike Pokemon. Oh, I got too excited. We do just see a pass from Andrea, and Fabio has really dodged one there. That could have been a horrendous turn for Fabio. As it is, he's able to use the Greninja, able to use a Comfey, needs to start getting an attacker put together here.
Yeah, he's just kind of slowly powering up that Dragonite V, not quite the turbo Lost Box that we would want to see in this matchup, and I don't think his hands not really supporting his turns right now, as Andrea gets another turn to try and find a way to potentially take 2 knockouts, reducing Fabio just to maybe just that Dragonite V, despite it being a big, heavy attacker, won't be able to reach over a VMAX Pokemon. But let's see, that was an Ultra Ball top deck there by Andrea. There's the double gunner Inteleon VMAX. So eyeing up different routes to play and drop damage counters where he wants.
I mean, certainly we're looking for a pivoting option here. That is a huge thing we need. We need a way to get that Drapion out of the active without attaching an energy. And, oh, it looks like we've got a Professor's Research here for 7. A pivot here, and then you just use the Auxiliary to search out your Rapid Strike energy, and that is a double KO. And that is going to... Oh, is it actually a double KO, though? Yes, Greninja will survive, but Inteleon can drop damage counters to finish it off.
Yep, exactly that. And there he does find one of his 2 escape ropes, which is massive here in this scenario, as Fabio just double checks the ability of that Rapid Strike Inteleon VMAX. So now the Greninja heads into the active spot. The Urshifu VMAX looks like he's going to be taking his place in the active position as well, ready to start rumbling.
And this is a really cheeky play from Fabio, because Inteleon's ability, what he would have been checking, Inteleon can only hit the bench. It can only drop damage counters on the bench Pokemon. So by putting the Greninja in the active, it kind of guarantees that the Greninja will survive this turn. So that's a really heads-up play from Fabio there.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if Andrea maybe missed the mark, or maybe he wanted to not necessarily use and place the damage counters on a Greninja yet, because he can set it up for potential Yoga Loop plays if he's able to take it out of the prizes and just leave it on some, cheeky little damage counters remaining.
That's what I'm thinking, because, okay, fine, you don't get the KO, but for Yoga Loop, what do you need? You need a Pokemon with 10 or 20 HP remaining. That is what Greninja is going to be. That is setting up a Yoga Loop, so that's an interesting back and forth we've got here. Oh, actually, I forgot about the Alakazam, because that could have KO'd the Greninja. There we go. Then we see the KO on... Oh, just a Gale Thrust, actually.
So keeping the energies for now, kind of just making sure he gets as much efficiency out of his energy attachments.
I like
because
it.
Of course, yeah, of course, because of course we have to discard to use that G-Max Rapid Flow.
And Gale Thrust only does the extra damage if you became active this turn. Fabio looks like he's picking up his cards. We are 1 game each. We are heading over into game 3 here. We've had 2 pretty uneventful games so far. Just one player not being able to have enough going. And we are heading to game 3 pretty quickly here.
Yeah, fantastically quick decision to kind of get himself and just kind of scoop and make the concession so that he can go to a game 3, give himself a chance of maybe just getting a bit more of a better board setup.
Yeah.
Both players having to do so. And yeah, we're going to see a game 3 with over 30 minutes to go, I believe.
I know, this is going to be fun. We're going to see like a proper game 3 where both players have a lot of time. We're not going to see, already twice today on the stream, we've seen one player desperately rushing to try and finish their turn so they are not turn 0 when time is called. Hopefully that is not going to be the case here, although it does give us a chance to remind that with Yoga Loop, you take the next turn. So if you use Yoga Loop on turn 2 of time, you get turn 3 of time as well.
Oh, wow.
That is a fun little ruling query that not everybody is always aware of. It doesn't create an extra turn. You just steal the last turn of time, or you get the first 2 turns, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, we'll see if we get that scenario to come up for Andrea's Rapid Strike Urshifu deck up against the Lost Wax. I mean, he is favored, but he has to get past the first 2 turns of setting up, because there's just a number of pieces there that it does feel a little bit, from a term of competitive players, a bit bricky.
Yeah, it can be a little bit awkward. And for Fabio here, there is a real question about that Drapion. That was a real MVP back in game 1. I really do think it just depends on exactly how good Andrea's start is.
I'm not too sure what was actually the basic starters for both players there, but I had an inkling. It was a Raikou.
Oh, you think it might be the Drapion.
But I guess it's another easy attacker to start powering up. And Fabio going first this time for the first time in this round, will be starting off with that Battle VIP pass, eyeing up that Manaphy nice and early once again, and a Comfey, just so he can start going, I guess. He just needs to get going. And he does have fleet-footed as well. There's a lot of draw potentials in Fabio's deck.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of cards coming out here. You get 1 from Fleet-Footed, you're going to get 2 from Greninja, then you can start your flower selecting. And it's going to be really interesting how Andrea's turn goes, because Fabio's going to get the first KO here. That seems like a pretty easy one to go for. The question is, are you going to try going aggro Raikou and taking out some smaller Pokemon? Are you going to potentially try going for your Drapion and getting some damage on those Pokemon V, but potentially opening yourself up to a Gale Thrust. There are a bunch of different options Fabio's got here, and it really does depend on how Andrea starts the game.
If Fabio can find a way to maybe stifle Andrea's setup by removing Remoraids out of play, just by taking the knockouts on the small little fish that is available, that could be one way to just stop the combo from ever happening. But there's a number of options there. He does have the Chorus Experiment for next turn. He should be relatively safe in this scenario of not getting a knockout, as you've already announced, Ross. So yeah, he just passes in this scenario with just the one Comfort in play right now. As we do see Andrea not open with a Battle VIP pass
for the
first time. So it is an Ultra Ball that is being played down. Is that discarding one of his supporters? Was that the Karina?
Karina and Melanie, both of them went in the discard from that Ultra Ball. So yeah, they're both gone. And I'm looking at the prizes here. Weirdly, there isn't a 1-1 IntelliOnline prize, which is frankly surprising. But there is that one of Alakazam, the Radiant Alakazam, and also there's a Remoraid. And Andrea plays 2 Remoraid. So if Fabio KOs that Remoraid with the other one in the prizes, that's going to mean Andrea doesn't have access to that Octillery that we saw provide so much value in the previous turn. That could be kind of big.
Yeah, it could be massive because if, like I said, if Andrea can just get over the hurdle of the first couple of turns and set up the board as he would like, then perhaps it's a bit more of a favored matchup because of the sort of combo shenanigans that you get from the deck itself, as he does find his first Battle VIP pass in Game 3 of our Round 13. So going to be looking to try and set up as he has done. He's already done his deck search and knows the Radiant Alakazam is prized. So some of those combos and shenanigans may not be happening quite so soon.
No, it's going to be a bit awkward. He also now has information that that Remoraid is the only one with which he's got to play. So leaving it up in the active to get KO'd could end up being a very, very bad thing. He does get double Inteleon down, though, and crucially gets an energy on that Urshifu. So with no Manaphy having hit the board yet for Fabio, that does really open up the potential for G-Max Rapid Flow. Although I think Fabio did search it last turn, didn't he?
Potentially.
Or did he change his mind in the end?
I thought he might have changed his mind, but we'll have to have a little look once again. And I think Andrea's also noticed that he doesn't have another Remoraid, has had to put down a third Inteleon V. And now it's on Fabio to potentially just stifle this setup. If he can take the knockout on this Remoraid here, here's the Chorus's Experiment. There's the Cram in hand as well with the Comfort in the active. Will put himself up to 4 in the Lost Zone. Does have quite a few good cards there. One easy choice, or easier choice, I should say. Opts to choose the Forest Sealstone, maybe trying to utilize the Sky Sealstone later.
Yeah, and I love this, and I think Cram is absolutely the way to go here. Using that Cramorant, spit innocently for 110, get the KO on the Remoraid without exposing a bigger Pokemon to potentially being KO'd, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity here to just really hurt your opponent's setup. We've got 4 cards on the Lost Zone. All we need is a switching card, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, so that Nest Ball, like to see maybe that Manaphy come down, protect the board from any sort of G-Max Rapid Flow happen, and I believe that is. I mean, some of the glare doesn't help, and the trainer art carries, as beautiful as they are, is not the most clarity, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the Manaphy there from that Nest Ball, protecting himself from Andrea potentially taking 2 prizes, energy attachment to the Raikou, just prepping it for future attacks, and then a switch card into the Spit Innocently Cramorant.
And that is, for the time being, Remoraid done. There will be no Remoraid. Now, there is a Clara in the deck, but that would have to be your supporter for the turn, and Andrea would have to find it. For the time being, he's not going to have that Octillery. Lets you search any Rapid Strike card once per turn, and that is not a great hand. You know what would be great right now? Octillery.
Octillery would have been fantastic.
Like, genuinely,
yeah.
Ultra Ball for Octillery, evolve the Remoraid, and then go and get something like Karina's Focus. That would be an awesome play right now.
Yeah, just to be able to draw additional cards, because there's not much else going on in the hand. He has had to promote the Urshifu into the active spot. Does have the energy attached, of course, but without coming from the bench to the active, won't be able to Gale Thrust. Currently, that Manaphy from the Nest Ball that Fabio played on the last turn is protecting it from that G-Max Rapid Flow. So I think Fabio's in a really good position here, but Andrea, again, just can't set up.
I mean, what we're looking for here really is Inteleon. That's what's going to make a big difference here. If he can start just using all those Inteleon, start dropping damage counter after damage counter after damage counter down on the board, that is going to make a big difference. G-Max Rapid Flow to just KO a Cramorant. That is not an efficient use of resources in these Rapid Strike decks. That is not what you're going for.
Yeah, those energies. Well, the water energy could come back with the energy retrievals, but that Rapid Strike energy will not be seen again. Of course, there are 4 copies in the deck. But yes, as you mentioned, the efficiency there just isn't what Andrea would have wanted as we go into Fabio, and he's just going to continue trying to burn through that deck with all of those flower selecting choices. Finds the Chorus's Experiment as well from the Poker Gear. Looking pretty healthy here from Fabio's side of the board.
Yeah, and we're not probably going to see a KO from Fabio here. What we need to do is just set it up, get a good chunk of damage onto that Urshifu, ready to KO it next turn, so that you can then go ahead and go to 4 prizes, and that's the goal here. You're not going to get a KO. It's got way too much HP. What you are going to be able to do is just get some good damage down and just keep setting up your board. Right now, there is nothing on Andrea's side of the board that is particularly worrying. Sure, there are the Inteleon down, but they're not V-maxed. And there's no Radiant Alakazam, which makes it even scarier. You've got Manaphy down, and there isn't going to be a G-Max Rapid Flow next turn anyway. I am liking Fabio's position.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to see him swing into potentially that Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, maybe with the Raikou, because with Andrea, typically you're playing things like Escape Rope to maneuver out of the way, and then he can maneuver the Raikou back to the bench and protect it if it does happen to come up again for another Gale Thrust. So just being able to put a lot of damage on the board, as we do see this Recycler back into the deck of 2 Psychic Energies, and Mirage Gate will be coming down at some stage as well, just kind of getting that water and maybe lightning. Okay, maybe just going for the Greninja play.
Love the Greninja play here. 90-2 Pokemon. That is going to be awesome. Again, Fabio's not taking a KO this turn. That's not the point. The point is that you're getting a bunch of damage down, and you are starting to soften up some of these Pokemon. You've got Sableye, Lost Mind, that can drop 12 damage counters. You could potentially Greninja next turn if it is able to survive the balance of this turn. You've got things like Dragonite, which can come and finish off some of those free prize VMAXs. What are you seeing, Alex?
He's just echoing Horn, that Remoraid again.
Oh, that's mean.
Rub salt in the wound and just say, I'm going to take another knockout, take a second prize on that single prizer, and just, again, as you mentioned, soften up one of the other Pokemon.
Love this play. And it also means now Andrea needs to be super careful benching any single prize Pokemon. If there is another Remoraid or that Radiant Alakazam, which we know are actually both in the prizes, that just makes too easy a prize map. So we do finally see an Inteleon. We do see damage coming down. And it looks like there's no attack coming off because he can't get Urshifu out the active. So that means that Fabio's going to get another turn. Does he have another Mirage Gate here? Because that would be awesome. There won't be another Echoing Horn.
Right now, if I'm not mistaken, a Dragonite potentially could come down and deal 250 damage with a Sky Seal Stone. Would that not take the final 4 prizes? Because there's currently 240 HP remaining after that.
That is correct.
Moonlight Shuriken. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Ross.
The Sky Seal Stone, I mean, it means if you KO a V-Star or a V-Max with a Pokemon V, you get a KO.
Take another prize.
Yeah. You get an extra prize as well. That's pretty important. I'm seeing it. If we can get a KO right here with the Dragonite, with the Sky Seal Stone, yes, that will be 4 prizes and the win right now.
But it looks like Fabio does have potential other options because he's kind of so far ahead here. And those Inteleons, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, they're weak to lightning. Oh,
yeah.
They're weak to lightning.
So that's the other opportunity as well. But he has actually just lost zoned one of his 3 escape ropes, 2 currently prized. So that play won't be available to him right now, as he does play the Chorus's Experiment, that one of those Claras and a Lost Vacuum going in. A big old hand. There's the Dragonite that I mentioned. Could we see it happen? I'm not too sure about the energies available right now. Lightning energy in hand. Oh, this is tense. This could be theoretically done in this turn, but he can take his time, relax back a little bit,
Well, there is another
He's ahead.
option. If he wants to take his time, he just saw that as a... Oh, no, he passed. I was thinking Sableye. Use Lost Mine on Sableye, and then just start dropping damage counters, knowing your opponent can't get out the active. But apparently neither can Comfey get out the active. So we just see Inteleon dropping more damage counters here with that double gunner ability.
Yeah, these are... I guess because he's ahead, he can take his time with it. It looks like
That was the turn.
It was just the double gunner ability, and then straight into Fabio again. Concealed cards, double checking his the cards left in his deck. Sky Sealstone still available in the deck of 5.
You got to think he's going to draw it. Like, that's not hard to do. You would imagine. Oh, and to be fair, between Comfey and Greninja, but now you got to be careful you don't deck out. If you have no cards to draw at the beginning of your turn, you lose the game. That is a bad thing. So, yes, this is absolutely fine. Go digging, but do not dig so far that you actually end up losing the game. There's the Sky Seal Stone onto the Raikou.
And he bring up the Inteleon VMAX with the Recycler, with the Lightning Energy, with the attachment of Mirage Gate. Does he have it in hand? He's got a load of cards. There's the
boss's orders onto the Inteleon, and that means that the Raikou with the Sky Seal Stone takes 4 prizes, and Fabio Battistella is your winner here in a very strange set of Pokemon.
What a massive, massive play by Fabio, being able to essentially fight against a very difficult matchup. Because of that opportunity for things like Yoga Loop and the sort of small Pokemon, and be able to take the dub with a massive 4-prize turn.
That was a huge 4-prize turn. And, you know, we talked about it at the beginning. Generally speaking, Rapid Strike looks at Lost Box and like, I could take that. I could beat that.
Yep.
And there's so many options. You know, we see the damage coming down with Inteleon. You move it around with your Alakazam. There's lots of cheeky prizes being taken. Double prizes with your Urshifu. Yoga Loop to grab extra turns. Everything is set up to have a very, very good matchup. Until that happened. And that was weird, right? Game 1, it was literally, I've attacked twice with Drapion. I didn't really mean to. It just kind of happened. Sorry about that. But the second I bring up Sableye, I'm taking 4 prizes really easily. And that was enough for his opponent to go, yeah, I'm not going to win that. And then in game 3, you see that giant 4-prize turn at the end, taking advantage of Raikou hitting weakness on the Inteleon. That was a strange set of games.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess, as I mentioned a couple of times, despite the inherent power of the sort of combos within that Inteleon, Urshifu, Rapid Strike deck, it just does sometimes fall down to its own consistency. It's something a lot of people have highlighted across the meta so far. That's why we don't always see it.
Yeah.
But when it works, it really works.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, he's at a 9-2-1 record, right? That is not the record of a deck which is struggling to set up or having a bad day or anything like that. That was just a bad game. That was a bad series. 2 out of 3 games, that deck just did not roll. And, you know, part of it was, if you start with one Remoraid and the other Remoraid is prized, then it's an easy KO for your opponent. There is no second one. And then you end up losing the game. And I'm not saying he lost the game because he didn't have auxiliary. But I am saying, had he had access to that second Remoraid, he would have gotten auxiliary off the Ultra Ball, or at least would have had the chance to, and then he can get a supporter, and that would have been a very different game.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, Fabio being able to take advantage of the slower, poorer setup from Andrea's side has been able to, yeah, just fully accomplish and jump over that hurdle of a pretty bad matchup. So congratulations to him, putting himself in a fantastic position to try and make it into the top 8.
And then you're like, well, is Fabio got a taste for this now? Like, goes and wins little regionals. Like, oh, you know, regionals level events, won, that was fun. Maybe I should do it again. You know, had a very good run at EUIC, fell short at top 128, but still was, you know, in the running, got day 2, had a very good tournament overall, and now kind of coming back to this special event. It's been a very good season for Fabio here. Could this be just one more way to be like, you know what, I can keep going?
Yeah, I'm just showcasing how good of a player I actually am. We're seeing a lot of players in this scenario where they're really having sort of massive breakout seasons in the EU. I mean, Leon Kesselring, who we featured earlier today, again, fresh off his kind of Liverpool victory at the regional there, and also doing incredibly well. And then, like you said, Fabio, you know, off the back of that Lille regional championship, and now just once again on the cusp of potentially a top 8 position.
Absolutely, and let's not forget Fabio's opponent in the final at Reels, Jamie Franklin, a UK player who was completely off the map at the beginning of the tournament of this season, and then had a good run at Oceania after getting second at Lille. But we've talked about Fabio a bunch. I think it's now time to talk to Fabio, so let's go and hear from our winner himself.
Right then, guys, we are now joined with the winner of our last round, Fabio, currently with 10 wins. First of all, Fabio, how are you feeling after that game?
Actually, I was pretty nervous. I mean, right now I'm excited because it's my second almost top 8, but I was pretty anxious. It's not a good matchup because Italian just spreads damage all around the board. So, yeah, feel excited but anxious.
I love that. So talk to us a little bit more about the matchup. You said traditionally not the greatest of matchups. Is it a matchup you actually tested against coming into this event?
No, I was not prepared. I mean, I kind of thought about playing with Drapion as I started in the first game, but I was really not testing that matchup because the deck was pretty much absent in the meta. So that's it. Yeah.
Talk to us about that feeling. So, you know, sitting down for that game, if you win, you're going to be in a very good position for that top 8, and your opponent does flip over, you know, cards that reveal that it is a rapid strike box. What was going through what was your thought process like at that time?
Yeah, I was actually anxious, but in a certain way, it happened also in Lille that I lost the game before my last game, and I had to win absolutely the last game. So it's a feeling that I experienced before, and I was truly prepared.
There we go. Preparation is key. Talk to us about your season so far then. How's your season gone?
I guess pretty good. I got points in every tournament I played, so I guess it's good. Yeah, Limitless just puts day 2s or 64s, I don't know. And I did 2 day 2s. With this one is free, but then I got all 128s. Yeah, so this.
That's awesome. So talk to the people about what are your top tips for players that you maybe next season want to do really well. Because you said you've got points at almost every event you've gone to. Trust me, that's not easy to do. So what's your tip for anyone listening that wants to try and do better at these events?
Just think, test a lot, and stay on the game. Stay focused on the meta. That's it.
Practice and focus on the meta, never a bad thing to do. Right, so Fabio, our last question for you here today. Like we said, top 8 is probably a certainty at this point. What is your goal for this event?
Absolutely winning.
There it is, absolutely winning. Let's go. I'm sure I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, Fabio. You put an amazing game on stream. But right now, we're going to cut to a quick break, and then we'll try and get into the last day 2 round as soon as possible.